terribly sorry about what just happened. Sorry. Really quickly, I was reviewing the importance of having accurate tax locations. Because the way Vetter works, Vetter will base the sales tax on the client location. So for those of you with a brick and mortar clinic, not a big deal. But should you ever have to visit a client or you're a mobile client, right? What happens is that the Vetter will know where the client is. And the example that I was making was that, right, taxes vary from city to city, right? So if I go ahead, like I was bringing up the example of San Francisco here, right, where I live, right, I have a tax on top of the county tax, on top of the sales tax, right? And in this case, the example we were giving, right, was Coventry, Rhode Island. There it is, right? And the taxes can be applied to all inventory categories or just some. And what this does now, it means as you move from location to location, Vetter will more accurately, right, display the sales tax, in other words, of where you did the work. And that's an important addition to that feature. So again, the importance of that feature, just besides the accuracy, is to use the Google Maps integration in a more advantageous manner, and to also have accuracy for, right, taxation purposes. So you might have, right, some of you who are mobile vets might have a dozen different locations, right, and with different tax rates, and now this makes end-of-year accounting a little easier, okay? Again, my apologies there for the weird little technological snafu. Now, the other thing I'd like to focus on here, the main part of this office hours, is an ideal schedule flow or software flow for the clinic. And part of this is how billing, right, and records get kept. In other words, the most important part of the program in the end is the ability to record charges, right, and have an accurate accounting of all the business you generate and being able to access those records in the easiest and timeliest fashion. Now, when I talk to clinics, I talk to a lot of clinics every day, find that, right, everybody seems to process the records or use the software in a different manner. And that's okay, right? I realize regardless of how many trainings we do or videos, people are still going to adapt it as need be. And that's okay, because in Vetter, 2 + 1 = 3 and 4 - 1 = 3. But there are advantages to using the software, right, in the way we have it designed. It'll still get the job done regardless of the manner you choose, but we have certain intentions in mind when we build it. And the first off is the use of the schedule. Always discover that clinics don't use the schedule. Okay, well, that's fine. A lot of clinics, for example, might just go directly to the patient. And let me do this here. Oops. They might go directly to the patient. And let's say in this case, Mr. Ed. And they come to Mr. Ed. I open up another browser tab there. And they may begin to start adding, right, records. They come to here and say, hey, let's do a medical note, right? Let's add a bundle, what have you. Let's add records. That's fine. You know, it might be your animal after hours, and you don't really care. You just want to make sure the medicine's recorded. But ideally, if we use the schedule, a number of positive factors happen. So let's do here, let me make a sample appointment. Let's call this a wellness exam. Let me use my sample patients here, Gargamel and Azrael from the Smurfs. Okay, and a couple things here. One is there's a referral source, right? You say, well, why does the referral matter? Well, some it's nice to know how the business arrived, but in other cases, the main reasons we want to use the referral source and appointments are because of our reports. And under reports, you have a referral source summary, and you have a sales by appointment type and total client appointments, right? By making an appointment allows you to look at these key performance indicators that are necessary for your practice. And I will bring up the referral source summary report specifically, okay? Is if I edit the dates here, I'm just going to edit for the year just so you can see this, right? it allows you to see where your business is coming from, okay? It's going to show you how many referrals certain clients made. In this case, Dr. Seuss is really valuable. He's generated, right, a fair amount of revenue, okay? And now we also have referral revenue that's generated, right? And it's going to show you over time, like, hey, let's say you ran an ad on Yelp, or you ran an ad on Facebook, right? Or you ran an ad on, a door handle flyer promo, right? Where you can create these incentives and say, hey, look, I spent $500 in this ad, right? What was its ROI, right? Right? How much revenue was yielded just from this ad campaign? And, if like in this case, right, Facebook, there was a 10% off ad I put in here. It only cost me $50, right? I have yielded $433, right, in essentially revenue from the referrals. Hey, this is a great, on average, I'm yielding $216 per appointment, and it's an ROI, right, of over 300%. Hey, this is great. Or maybe you have, like I said, these kind of non-direct or inactive referrals where they're from clients. Like, wow, Bruce Willis yields us really, right, deep pockets clients. And Dr. Seuss is a great guy. He yields us $3,000 per, right, appointment. And maybe I send them thank you cards, or I engage with an active referral program with them. Say, hey, Dr. Seuss, how about every time you refer someone to us, we'll send you 5% referral bonus, or what have you. This becomes valuable in growing your business. So when we check people in, the only way we can check them, get the referrals, is to check them in with a referral source summary. Now, it can change. You can say, maybe next week you run a, middle of summer special, right? And they come up to, how'd you hear about us? Oh, I heard about you on your summer special, promo flyer. And even if you haven't added it yet, created it, you can create it directly from here. Again, this is why how'd you hear about us? Oh, we heard about you from, my neighbor's Dr. Seuss. And he said, you guys are a great clinic. And I can, bring them right back here. This is one of the goals of using the schedule, is that you get to yield really valuable data, right, for the referral source summary report, for total client appointments, sales by appointment type, right? Another great one is average client transaction. The software can't record this data unless it comes with a checked-in appointment, because we have to know, right? It's the only way we know, right? Because if you just keep adding records, right, from the patient screen, right, the software doesn't know, is this one transaction? Is this the same one that's ongoing, right? And it's important to do these things, okay? And the other advantage, of course, is the other thing that we stress, and let me check them in really, really, really quickly here. Okay, the other thing we stress is checking someone in with an invoice, because you will not be able to yield data for any of these reports unless they're checked in with an invoice. So as we check them in, look, always, 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 always check somebody in with an invoice or an estimate, because the estimate can be converted to an invoice. And so in this case here, right, I look here and I say, hey, what's our, do we want to check them in with an invoice, a new one, or an old one? But what have you, make sure you do so. There are options not to do this in settings. We create those options for you, but we really stress that you do so. Okay? And even if I check them in with an estimate, the estimate, as soon as you convert it, will convert to an invoice. That makes it nice. Now, the other thing under the clinic flow, and again, it depends how you use this. It'd be great if they can be checked in with a medical note in the beginning of the appointment. Oftentimes, though, the way clinic flows work, right, this is just the receptionist checking someone in, and you want the technician to add the medical note and or the bundle. And that's okay. We'll use it in that manner, this example here. I'm going to hit save. Now they're checked in with an invoice. Now, some of you are saying, hey, where do we, is there a setting that controls this? Yes, there is. In our settings, okay, if I jump to settings, you have a check-in option here, okay? Check-in, billing. How are they going to be checked in? All right? And when we check somebody in right here, you can have no default. That leaves that option open, right, for your staff. Or we want to make certain that you always check in with a new invoice, and my default was that, right? So always make sure they do this, okay? And now, by going through the schedule, by setting up this appointment here, right, positive effects have happened or cascading downstream. And now we've checked them in right without anything else. Oops, gosh, goodness. And your staff's like, okay, let's take a look at Azrael. We're going to jump to the patient here. Okay. And then as a next step, the ideal, like I always say, in a perfect world, you check them in with a medical note too. Okay. But in this case, the way your clinic flow works, you don't want the receptionist to do that. Let's say you want the technician to do this. Okay. So we're going to come to here. All right. And by the way, if you're wondering why there's different colors here in black and red, it's because I share Azrael with another account. And so we have what's called record sharing that shows where, because you could, if you have multiple clinics, you could share records across these clinics. And we distinguish them by color here, black and or red, just so you kind of get an idea here. Now, we come to Azrael. Hey, we're here to see you. Great, let's take a look. And the first thing we're going to do, we're going to create a medical note. Now, some clinics don't create medical notes. They just start adding charges. In this case, if we were just to add charges, that's okay, right? But notice something here. There is an invoice. This will go to an invoice. This is what's important. We want it to go to an invoice. There's a past invoice and a present invoice. The higher number equals the most recent invoice. Please make sure you go ahead and add things to there, okay? Just because and things are linked very nicely. What do you mean, Matt? Well, you take a look here. Charges, right, we want them to be linked to the invoice from that day. Now, some clinics will do it this way. I recommend, Vetter recommends that you do it through a medical note. And just to show you what the advantage is, we come to here, we hit medical note. Okay, you choose your medical note, right? We start you off with the 3 basic soaps. You can add then any other soap you wish. Make any other soap you wish. I'm just going to grab a basic soap here, very simple. Okay, I can put the complaint in. Let's just say there is none, just a wellness exam. And I go ahead and add the provider here. In this case, it's me. And I hit save. And voila, now I have this medical note, but I have no charges in the note, right? There are no records here, okay? Now I'm going to use this other screen to kind of go back and forth between places. And I'm going to go to, let's say, Azrael right here. So just so you can see the records side by side, okay? And what you're going to see here with Azrael, okay, here is this medical note we just created. But notice there's no invoice tied to it. So we always want to make certain that any new records we add, and I'm just bouncing between windows here, are tied to that invoice, which then ties to that medical note. And I could add a new bundle from here. Let's say the technician looks at, my cat Azrael, notice the invoice pops up and says, hey, this is an annual checkup. Let's use our feline wellness exam. Okay, boom, I hit next. I take a look at everything that's in the bundle. Right, I'm not going to send the labs out today just to make just a demo here. Not going to send these out. Say, sure, this is great. This is what we're going to use. And I hit create, okay? Now, we always recommend using bundles. Why? Because bundles, even if it's a 2 or 3 items in the bundle, most of the time you know what you're going to add in terms of records for most of the patients, right? You can still add charges individually. We have clinics just individually adding charges, right? But it's time consuming. Take advantage of creating a bundle. right? Bundles are foundational, not restrictional, right? So you can't make a mistake. Don't worry if, oh my God, what do I know? What happens if the bundle has wrong items in it? No problem. Add, edit, delete. Now, I made mistakes here on purpose. Nail trim canine. You're like, well, what? What? This is a cat. Not a problem. We edit the record, right? We come to here and then say, nail trim feline. Okay? Boom. And I hit save, and we're good to go. Maybe you're like, oh, we don't need Clavamox tabs today. No problem. Delete them. And you say, gosh, we instead of those Antec labs I had, I need to run an Abaxis lab right now. Or, IDEX lab. And by the way, we've begun work on our IDEX integration as they finally agreed. So, all things being equal and the gods of good luck shine upon us, we'll have an IDEX integration within a couple months ready to go in the product. And maybe you say, gosh, let's just say, like, hey, we need to send out, I want a lab right now from our analyzer. Maybe it's an IDEX lab right here, okay, or an Abaxis lab, not a problem, right? We go ahead, we add it, same to this invoice right here, always making sure of that. And this is then the ideal flow, okay, in terms of adding records. Now I'm going to pause for a moment and see if there are any questions. No, we're doing good. Okay, now the other advantage, now let's look at this. Let's update the patient records again side by side so you see everything. Okay, and okay, here's, look, nail trim feline, it's been changed. And here's our IDEX lab, all on 3877 invoice. Okay, perfect. Now, a couple other things that the way clinics add records. People say, oh, we need to send a letter out, or we need a consent form or care instructions. And they might come directly to here and say, new letter, or they take a picture of the animal and say, gosh, the animal has a scratch under their eye. Let me get this. And they might add attachments to here, okay? And if you do these things, right, always make sure they're tied to the medical note in terms of a clinic flow, because then the records are tied together. But it's easy to forget this. Clinics are in a hurry. They're like, okay, we need we want to have a discharge letter here, or exam, right here, discharge letter. And they go through and it goes to the owner and they hit save, but then the letter is not associated with a medical note. Or they, hey, we need to get a consent form in here, and they're not associating it with the medical note. And even though we have this feature here, we can't assume which medical note you're using, so it has to start up as a default as none, right? And so a lot of times clinics just miss this, right? Or they take a picture of the animal, right? And they want to add an attachment, right? And when we add attachments here, we don't have a way from the patient screen or the client screen, right, to add it to a medical note. That's not available yet with software because we designed everything to come out of the medical note. The medical note is the core, the heartbeat of your appointment. And this is where we can add those same things. And then they're duplicated or replicated, right, in other parts of the software. So, for example, hey, our little guy has a cut or is limping. And what a lot of our clinics do, they have a tablet. And I recommend if you don't have a tablet, get a tablet, because with the tablet, you can take pictures and they're directly on the software. Yes, you can't take pictures with a laptop. You could take pictures, for example, with a phone, but then you have to send the picture from the phone, right, to the computer you're using. Let's say I take a tablet here, take a quick picture, and I then suddenly want to attach it. And all I do is like attaching like a letter to an email. I click here, and I'm going to pull up this picture here that one of our vets sent us, right, of her working on Vetter with her cat. I hit open. I can attach this to, hey, this works with the same record as, Gargamel, right here, and I hit save. Now it's going to upload it. It takes a little bit of time, but you can upload whole videos, right? And the videos can be part of the appointment. And when I say, what do you mean by video? I just take a quick look here. If I look at Azrael's attachments, and I have this old attachment here from a while back. I can, for example, this is our mascot, Daisy, and she's a lazy corgi. That's my desk right over here, which you can't see. And as you know, Daisy's funny. But this is just want to show you this. This is a 19-second video, okay? And the advantage there is, right, let's just say this was a limp or there was something wrong with the animal. I now have that tied directly to the medical note, okay? And I can add, like I said, add those attachments. So now, look, right, it's part of this note. If I come here and say view attachments, right, there it is. If I now come and want to add a letter, add the letter from the medical note. Let's say it's a consent form. And I'll show you again why this is nice. Mr. Gargamel is the owner, and I come here, and don't worry about the letter itself. Here's a very simple form I've written, and you just come up to here and say, hit sign letter. Hand them the tablet. They can draw it with their fingertip right there. If you don't have a tablet immediately available, I call it the Etch-a-Sketch model, you can do that. Or you could just type the thing. Hand it and let them sit, they type it. It has this, and then what's happening? The screen will refresh. What will happen is, and now that letter, notice, is attached to the medical note. Again, you can add these letters independent of the note. The ideal product flow is to have them be part of the note. Well, why? Because it equals, right, easy reference. Oh, here's a discharge letter. For what? I don't know. What exam were we discharging him from? Here, it's part of the record, right? And right, if I view my attachments, same thing. Oh, this is notice I was lazy. I didn't attach it to here to a medical note. I didn't maybe say who the source was because, then there's more accuracy down the line. And all this, by the way, is replicated in the client side of things, where it's right here, where we have their documents, attachments, what have you. It's all replicated there. So advantages to doing things from a note, ideally, are more thorough record keeping. And let's say I also needed to add another letter, okay? And in terms of adding another letter, no problem. I go ahead and add another letter, right? I'm just going to grab the exam discharge letter here very quickly. And I come to here, and again, everything is tied to the medical note. Now, in terms of your clinic flow, right, this shouldn't affect flow at all. It just reminds people, hey, attach it to the medical note. Now, the nice thing is let's say we're done, and we want time for billing. If I go to, and billing can be done a variety of ways. If I go to the medical note, I can access the invoice. And by the way, really quickly, right here we have all of our, here it's all connected. If I want to access my invoice, I can do it directly from the medical note. Invoice 3877, right up here. I can access it directly right from the patient. I can even access it from the client side of things under invoice right here, right? View invoices. Or I could jump to billing. Now, if I jump to billing, and again, we stress this, we did not create billing as a place to generate invoice, to build, kind of add charges. We thought of this as the hub to control, right, all of your payment processing, estimates, payments, returns, credits, etc. Okay, but you can still add charges from here, and I'll show you something very quickly. Let's just say, they're about to check out. They come up to the front, and a lot of clinics check people out directly from the billing module. And I'm going to recommend a different way to do it. But before they do so, let's say, oh gosh, they're up front, and they're checking them out, and they notice, oh, you have, some, Hills dog food, right? Or in this case, cat food, sitting on the counter or the shelf, or a new leash, or a toy, or any kind of little sundry items you may have. No problem. Click on the invoice here, right? And add, right? And add a new item. Oh, let's add an item. Let's add it to our Hills, right? What have you, right here. Boom. Now notice there's an option down here to add it to a medical note. And again, train your staff to not skip over that and connect everything to a medical note, right? And we hit next, and we hit save and done. Now, most clinics want it when they get to this point, say, let's collect payment from here. And that's fine. You could collect payment individually from here. But we do not have a checkout feature, right? I collect payment from here, but it's only can do it for one invoice, right? And it doesn't check the client out. Now, watch this. If I go back to my schedule, the way Vetter thinks of this is you check them in from the schedule, you check them out from the schedule. And we come to right here, and now we could check them out. Now, collecting payment, right, is perfect. It can be done any way you wish, but we advise doing it from here. Because here in the checkout, and first of all, we have the ability here to edit, right, the time and date. Maybe you're really busy and you have to go back and do this. That's okay. First of all, it pulls up all outstanding invoices. It will pull up any outstanding credit. It also yields all the documents. Our little guy's in a wellness plan, so we're going to remove them here. It doesn't affect you. And we're going to say, hey, here is that exam discharge summary, right? That exam discharge letter we created, right? Here is this consent form. Now, remember we checked them in without a medical note? If we had checked them in with a medical note, and again, it's part of your clinic flow, the medical note would then be available here also, okay? Hey, we include our reminders. And what's neat is, we did a rabies vaccine there. Let's include the whole vaccine certificate. And what's cool is, if you notice, I didn't add a rabies tag number. It's going to tell me, it's not going to let me check out. Right, let me say I grab a payment type here, what have you, Visa. It's not going to let me check out with a rabies tag number. Right, now I'm just going to, and if I add a tag number here, put in the word sample, it will then automatically add that then to the documentation. Okay, and I now hit checkout, but I'm going to print it so you could see it. And imagine the other thing. Imagine telling a client, hey, check your phone when you leave our clinic. Within 30 seconds, all the paperwork will be there. I hit checkout, and now watch what happens. Is all those documents that you created, which can be individually sent, right, from anywhere in the software, but here it's going to say, oh, our exam discharge letter, well, we didn't really do anything there, so there's nothing in there. Okay, not a problem, right? Our exam discharge letter's here. Here is our, got an empty blank page there. Here's our consent form that we signed, right? Perfect. It's all there. All documented the client side of things. Oh, a vaccine certificate. Okay, not a problem. Great. Here are your reminders. Awesome. All right there. Here's your paid invoice. In fact, both paid invoices, right? And imagine that is the advantage to using the flow check in and check out from the schedule, is all the paperwork can be generated at once. I'm going to pause really quickly. Got a question here. Sorry. Is the referral number including all appointments with that referrer? Yes, it does. That's iShine. As long as you add a referring veterinarian, referring clinic, referring whomever, it will include all appointments with that referrer as long as they are checked in with an invoice. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense there for iShine. So again, my stress is the ideal flow is to check them in with an invoice, and even better, if you can train your staff to check someone in with a medical note, right, at the same time. I'm just going to put here sample. We'll do this very quickly here. Sorry. And you know what? I'm a Niners fan, so the beauty of having the bully pulpit, I have to get to subject you to all my Bay Area sports teams. And I do next, right, next. And they're checked in, boom, 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 really quickly. I come to here, and when I check them in, right, we're going to check them in with that invoice, right, or an estimate, okay? The other thing is if I could check them in with a medical note, I can then send home the medical note at time of checkout. Now, a lot of clinics, like I said, don't want the receptionist checking someone in with a medical note, But maybe what you do is, and I've been in enough clinics to see this, is after I train them, when the technician comes up and picks up the animal or the veterinarian, they'll tell them on the spot, say, hey, we're here for, Niner here. And they'll tell the receptionist, please check him in with a, canine annual exam note. And that way the advantage is, right, that they're going to go, you can go ahead then and print that and send that home if that's something you want to do. And for referring veterinarians, like referral source places like iShine Veterinary, that lives, because they're a specialty clinic, iShine Ophthalmology, they deal with referring physicians all the time. And that might be a nice, easy way to do this. Now, watch this here really quickly. We're going to check them with an estimate one last time, or one last thing. A lot of clinics will start estimates from billing, but here we convert it to an invoice, and it works really well. And let's say they're coming in, and we're going to do our canine wellness exam, right? And the technician, like the last clinic I was at, they start every appointment with an estimate. They take the technician takes the animal into an exam room, right? And then goes ahead and does an estimate. And they do an estimate here, but they were doing estimates right out of billing or right from the client side of things. And they were losing the effectiveness of the check-in, check-out feature. And let's say we come to here and we do, let's just say, just for example's sake, this might be an extra long exam. I take extra long, and it might be, instead of $70 I say a unit here, let's say it's an hour. Let's say it needs to go like this. Just play with me here for the example. I know you don't really need a estimate for a wellness exam, but just in case, right? Oh, they might need 50 tablets here, okay? Or in this case, right, they have one, I don't know, maybe you need 20. Just play with me here. And I hit save. We have the estimate. And Vetter's computing it here really quickly. Now they're checked in with this estimate, okay? No invoice yet. No problem. Click on the estimate. Come to here. We have a high range. We have a range here, right? Not much, but there is a range. And hand the client, hey, this. And we want to approve the estimate. Again, the client can sign it, right? Or draw it. Sorry, penmanship, not my strongest. I hit approve, right? And now we convert it to, the client says, sure, this looks great. And we convert this to an estimate. Always apply the high range, I like to say, because when you come in lower, clients are happy. And we hit convert. All right. And in the conversion, right, comes with a task that was attached to, the bundle I did there. I come back to the schedule and now check it out, right? Here we go. It's converted to an invoice here. So all the benefits you get of checking someone with an invoice now remain, okay? Let me see if there's any questions right now. Hoping that's making sense. We're looking good. Please let me know right now if you have any other questions. And again, this is my design. The goal here is to create the optimal flow using the software for your clinic. Please let me know if you have other questions here. And again, look, this could be your mom coming in, as I like to say, this example. So if you heard me use it, your mom comes in after hours and says, honey, please take care of Fluffy here, right? And, you're not going to deal with an appointment here. It could be your husband, your wife, your partner's cat or dog, what have you. And you could go directly right to them and just say, hey, Santa's little helper, let's just say. And yeah, you can add the charges directly from here. Do realize, though, that we're not going to get the benefits of a referral source summary. We're not going to get the average client transaction because the software doesn't necessarily know, is this tied to the same invoice from 2 days ago or not? We're not going to get, right, the sales by appointment type, little things like that have benefits, right? And you can still come here and directly say after hours, go ahead and pick up add everything here. But if you do so, right, come here, at the very least, try to tie it to a medical note. Hey, why are you coming here? What do you need the amoxicillin for? What it says, oh yeah, my last visit when I was here, I needed to get a refill, or this is related to the condition from my last visit. Whenever possible, try to tie things to a medical note. Because as I like to always point out is, I know you guys all know what you're doing, right? But let's just say you come to this and say, months later, why did I diagnose trifexis? Why did I add this? What's the reference? Okay, right now we have an invoice, but what's the reference? And it could be 6 months later. It could be a year later. And where are your notes for this, right? This is why tie everything at least to a medical note. And the medical note could be from a month ago. Is this related to the last time I saw your animal? Yes. Fine. Even if you bypass the schedule, tie it to the record to something medically related so that down the line, things make more sense to you. Right? So now, regardless of where you add the charges from, to repeat, from the invoice and billing, right, from the medical note, directly from the patient, connect it to a medical note. You add letters, you add photos, right, videos, do it from the medical note. Connect it to them. Or if you can add the letter directly from here, what's this letter in reference to? Oh, yeah, your last visit. Well, whatever. I had 2 visits the same day, but you get the idea. It just makes for better record keeping, provides better level of service. It's going to make your client experience even better. It's just all, what do they say? Proper prevention prevents piss poor performance, or proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Pardon my language there. But if we can do everything right through the schedule, book, checking in, checking out, if we can then do everything through the medical note, or at least reference the medical note, your record keeping will be vastly improved. And imagine the amount of fewer clicks. Yes, can I send home a certificate, right, from every client, or every patient? Rabies, reminders, vaccines, yes. Can I email home every letter if I so chose, right? Consent form, yes. Can I go, I can go ahead and email the letter and print it. Yes, I can do all those things. But why not do it directly from the schedule itself? Okay, the check-in, the checkout process, less clicks for all of you. Can I send home every invoice? Yes, I can do everything email, right? I can do everything from email, fax, or print. Do it from the schedule, and you have that many fewer clicks. Okay? Are there other questions people may have? Any other questions? I apologize again for my little snafu there in the beginning. This is being recorded. Okay, it will be available in the customer community a little later today. Other than that, I wish all of you a great rest of the day, and thank you for attending office hours. And hopefully this was of benefit. And I realize some of you who attend office hours all the time, you're like, I've heard Matt go through this before. Yes, about every 2 months. And I was a high school teacher for 20 years. You have to go back, right? Recall, remember, refine, right? Until people get this down just right. Okay, thanks a lot for everybody's time again, and wish you a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.